Hey, everybody. My name is Neko White. Thank you for watching this. I'm a comedian. I'm basically laying, I'm not going to rap or anything like that. I'm just laying my album, telling my jokes to this big ass microphone. Shout out to the Pinch Recording Studio. Shout out to Mike Lavin, the homeless pimp. Shout out to Scotty Linder. Shout out to John, the man on the camera and on the sound. So, when you hear this, remember, I'm a comedian. Don't take me too seriously, but even if you do, shit, who cares? Nothing makes sense anymore. Thank you. And let's start. I hate everything about what's going on right now. I hate everything about it. All this shit is trash. As a matter of fact, from the start of this pandemic, I never thought I'd have to say shit like I never thought. I never thought we'd get to this point. It's to the point where I can't even leave my house without my mask. That's most of us. You won't leave your house without that shit. It's stapled to your face. To the point where if you leave your house without your mask, there's a fear that you feel that you've never felt before, fam. I ain't know it was like that. I had a good night, you know, and that's my fault. Who the fuck told me to have fun during a pandemic? Woke up the next day and completely forgot what was outside. And then I left my house. I went out into the open air like it was 2019 again, just free breathing. And I exhaled and I noticed I didn't immediately smell my own breath. And it was at that moment I realized, oh no, I might be breaking the CDC guidelines somewhere. And I did that move. I don't know if everybody else does this, but it's what I do. I put my fingers right here where the clamps would be, and I flicked. And when I didn't feel like, you know, when you were a kid and you had that rubber band guitar that you make yourself, and you didn't hear that boom kind of sound, I was like, oh yeah, I don't got my mask on, which was already enough. Only then for me to look up and see four people walking past. Four people that I knew for a fact smoked crack. And each and every last one of them had their mask on. Do you know how irresponsible I felt in that moment to have crackheads walking past me like, hey man, you need to get your shit together, dog. I mean, golly, don't you know what's out here is out here? You trying to catch that shit? Hey man, but real quick, you got $1? I was like, yeah, I got $1. He's like, okay, cool, word out. Let me get that off you. Then he went in his back pocket. He pulled something. I thought it was a gun. Nope, it was a thermometer, as a matter of fact. He was taking my temperature before he'd set my money. Had to make sure I wasn't sick. Go figure. Now, going through all of this, I needed to make sure that I tested myself. I needed to go get COVID tested just so I could be outside. My mom is over 60. She smokes Newport. So not only is she at risk, but COVID is looking for her. Because that shit walks around with a wanted post like, you seen Sandy? So because of that, I do my best to stay up to date on my status. And if you're like me and you don't know that the COVID test is free, hey, man, the COVID test is completely free and go take that shit. Because that's what kept me away from it at first, because I'm not insured. And like any American that's not insured, you know if you're not insured, that means you don't exist to the health system. You walk in, they throw a stethoscope up your shirt, they check your blood pressure, they give you 400 milligrams of ibuprofen, and they send you on your merry way. No harm, no foul, and you die at home in your sleep. So for me, I was like, I don't want to go through that at City MD. So I ain't going to go get tested. And I found out it was free, and I got geeked. I was like, yo, free, I can afford that, hell yeah. So I show up to City MD because I like the finer things in life. And when I get there, everybody was cool. When they found out I was there to get a COVID test, they saw me immediately, sent me right back into the back room. 2 nurses walked in. One nurse, nice black girl, young, had on regular nurse attire with just a face mask. The other was a white lady in her, I'm assuming her 30s, that had on a astronaut biohazard suit. I had never seen something like that before. So it made me paranoid. I was like, hey, does she have COVID and y'all letting her come to work, or like what's happening? I need to know so I could be sane. And they're like, no, this is just protocol. So I'm looking at the young black girl like, fuck that. Your life matters. You can go get one of these astronaut suits too. She's like, no, it's just how it is. So, okay, fine. So it's time to get my swab test. I didn't want to get the antibodies because they got to take blood for that. And I'm what you call a bitch. I don't want nobody taking my blood. So I said, no, I'm cool. We could just get the swab. So go for the swab. And the swab wasn't half as drastic as y'all made me believe. Y'all, everybody made me believe that these people were going to pull a sword out and slowly inject that shit up my nose. So when she actually went to go find the swab, I was rather unimpressed, if I'm being honest with you. She went and got a swab that was only about the size of my index finger. So I saw that swab, and then I remembered how big my nose is. And I was like, shit, I got that. I ain't got nothing to worry about. I think I'll be fine. And that's when old girl dropped something on me. She said, hey, I just need you to know a couple things before we begin the examination. I'm like, yeah, shoot. Tell me what I need to know. She said, well, first things first, when I insert the swab, sir, you're going to cry. I beg your pardon? When you insert the swab, I'm you, me. Yep, I'm gonna cry. Lady, you don't know me. You don't know me. I ain't never cried. I ain't cried at my grandma's funeral. I ain't gonna cry because of this Q-tip you want to put in my nose. She said, okay. And after I insert the swab, sir, please don't punch me. Now, that's when I started to get nervous because I'm like, please don't punch you. Ma'am, what are you about to do to me? What have you done to other people? They just punched you when you went to check whether they had a world-killing virus or not. I said, I assure you, ma'am, I will not be punching you. She said, okay. So she brought out the swab and she put a hand on my chest. And I ain't been out the house in 4 months at the time. And her hand was warm. And I hate to admit this, but when she placed her hand on my chest, my dick got hard. Like, it just did. I wish I could say that it didn't, but it fucking happened that way. So I'm sitting there trying to make shit up in my head, like, grandma. And remember, you here for an examination. This shit is not porn, and she's not going to try to give you head. She's just going to stick the swab up your nose. So, sure enough, unfortunately, all she did was stick the swab up my nose. She took the swab, and she started going in. And I didn't really feel much. And she got what I thought was all the way into my nose. And I'm like, see, told you. Not one tear. And she said, yo, when she giggled, like, that's the first time in my life I heard the words, you fucked up, in my head, in somebody else's voice. I heard her sweet voice saying, you gonna cry. She jabbed that swab into my sinuses. And I didn't know that our noses have hymens. I didn't know that. That's not a part of biology they bring up to you. Nobody will teach you that. But your nose has a hymen. And when that hymen's broken, oh, you won't bleed. Nah, no. You just cry every single tear that you've been holding back since the time you were 8 years old. I didn't know my parents' breakup affected me that much. I'm a grown man sitting in the hospital. I don't know why they would just leave each other like that. They didn't even think about how that shit could affect me. I uppercutted the hell out that nurse because even though she told me not to, you ain't telling me I'd be revealing myself like that. And of course, I'm kidding. I didn't put my hands on anyone. I just finished crying and that was the exam. She was like, okay, sir, thank you very much. The exam is over, and we'll hit you up in 2 weeks. What do you mean the exam is over? Woman, this is the most sex I've had in the last 4 months. I at least need your number. And also, fuck you mean it's going to be 2 weeks before I get my results? It takes 14 days to die. What type of time are y'all on, fam? Do you care about us or do you not care about us? You already got one of the nurses in here just basically free breathing. And it's going to take 14 days before I know if I can kill my mom with a hug, you irresponsible jackasses. So if you want to do your own COVID test, basically see how you feel today. And if you're alive in 14 more days, guess you're in the clear. Or go to where I go in Harlem, 118th Street. They'll give you the test in an hour. Just food for thought. Stay safe out here, y'all. Stay safe. Because 2020 has showed us that nobody, no matter how much money we know them to have, no matter how successful they are, nobody is immune to death. Nobody. I don't need the reminder. I get reminded enough. I grew up in the projects. Named Taft. Now, you can always tell how good or bad your projects is by its nickname. My project's given name is Taft. Nickname, Taft Afghanistan. Just to give you an idea of what I grew up around. Fucking war zone. So I'm tired of hood memorabilia, fam. I'm tired of it. And if you're from where I'm from, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Hood memorabilia. Like that picture of your homie that come on that chain that you wrap around your neck and it's damn near like a Pokemon card. And after a while, you could almost feel like you collecting them shits. Or better yet, the OG hood memorabilia. I'm tired of that fucking t-shirt with the wax painting of insert person I know here. And if you've ever had a shirt like that, you know the harsh truth. You can only wash that bitch one time before you completely wipe your friend's face off of that shirt and it's almost like they died again. I'm tired of hood memorabilia. Kobe. We lost Kobe. That's how the year started. We lost Kobe. And you know what's crazy? The year started with that and I still didn't think this was going to be a fucked up year. That's how delusional I was. I didn't think it was going to be a fucked up year. We lost Kobe. I'm like, things will work out. This is when I knew it was getting bad. I was walking across the street, and there was a handicapped, older, white guy walking across the other side of the street. And when I say handicapped, I mean he was all the way handicapped, crippled, all the way. I'm going to do the impression just to give you an idea of what I was dealing with. You can get mad if you want, but this is the most accurate impression that I will ever do, ever. That was him coming across the street. And as he's coming across the street, I'm going to run across the opposite side of the street. So I'm going to run and I get stopped by the cars. The cars coming and I can't make it. He makes it off to the side and he makes it to the sidewalk. He goes, and then he sees me not making. He went, catch up, nigga. And at that moment, I knew 2020 was going to be fucked up. It was at that moment that I realized, because I just had an old white cripple tell me, catch up, nigga. And he was so vulnerable and available to be punched. But I didn't hit him because I agreed with him. Like, that's when I knew this year is going to shit. And sure enough, it went to shit. Man, I don't know. I never expected this. When the year started, I had some things I had never had before. You know, I came into 2020 with opportunities and a bank account. That shit was like having two girlfriends that knew about each other, dog. I couldn't have asked for a better situation. Because, see, bank account, I met her back in 2016. I left Montreal. We met at a Chase. The teller introduced us and only cost $200 to meet her. But once I met her, I trusted bank account implicitly. Bank account knew all my business. Bank account knew how much money I had. Bank account knew how I was doing. Whenever people would ask me, Neko, how are you? Bank account knew if I was lying or if I was telling them the truth. If my mom needed money, bank account had it for her. If I needed money, bank account had it for me. When I met bank account, she was thin, frail, shit, built like a debit card, yep. Couldn't even take her nowhere. Ain't have enough. But as time went on, I fattened bank account up. She even got some work done. She had some titties, she had her ass on. Bank account was all right. I was eating, bank account was eating. And then opportunities. You see, opportunities, I've known her for a long time. I've been trying to get this bitch for the longest. She just wouldn't return my calls, would not accept my advances. I met opportunities when I was like 16. And she was cool. She was like, yeah, you're cool. I said, well, you know, can I? And she was like, you're not quite old enough yet. Went in another direction. I was like, okay, cool. I'm just get better and I'm gonna get nice and then I'm gonna get older and she'll fuck with me. And then like, so I'm 22 and I'm like, hey, opportunities. I'm legal now. You know? And opportunities like, I like you a lot, but I'm kind of looking for weird white individuals right now, so I'll holler at you. And it's like, okay, all right, bitch, all right, whatever. But then, last year, a friend of mine was nice enough to put in a good word for me with opportunities. Like, yo, you should give Neko a shot. You been fucking with him, you know he exists. Give him a shot. And the opportunity started talking to me different. She started talking to me nice. We had a date in April. I told bank account about that. She was like, yo, bank account. In April, we gonna fuck the shit out of opportunities. And bank account said, you goddamn right, we gonna fuck the shit out of opportunities. And then, as me, bank account, and opportunities were walking down the block, a gangster nigga named COVID walked up on us. And none of us expected what was gonna happen next. I'm happy and smiling, minding my business, and COVID walked up dressed like the coronavirus. I wasn't worried about the coronavirus. You could heal the coronavirus with elderberries and paper towel, according to y'all. But when COVID walked right in front of us, stopped me, opportunities, and bank account. That motherfucker looked me in my eyes and said, your name Neko White, right? Yeah, motherfucker, my name Neko White. Yo, Neko White, say I won't knock you out and take opportunities right here and now. Say I won't. Not only did I say you won't, I said, nigga, you wouldn't dare. And he dared, ladies and gentlemen. That motherfucker knocked me unconscious. Sonic rings flew out my ears. He knocked me out and grabbed opportunities and just ran with that bitch. What made me mad is opportunities didn't even say nothing. Opportunities ain't say shit. She just left and looked back at me like, I'll see y'all in 2021. And COVID looked back and was like, at the earliest, motherfucker. Ooh, that shit hurt. That hurt. You ever lived in the projects for 27 years? Huh? You ever had a crack in your goddamn ceiling? You ever had that? You ever lost 6 figures you hadn't made yet? You ever had that? That's been my year. So if you wondering how I could stand in front of some cameras and tell some jokes like this, motherfucker, I'm at my wit's end. Is this a crime? So take it however you can get it. I miss y'all, man. I really do miss y'all. Not being able to do stand-up in the way I'm used to doing stand-up, that's a bitch. You know what I mean? I don't know how people live their life not getting a round of applause when they show up to work. I miss the applause. I miss having y'all here. I'd like a motherfucker to spit take when I'm talking my shit. You know what I'm saying? I want somebody to snort. That's the comedy version of squirting. I want all that. But we gotta be socially distant so we can stay alive. You don't want to catch this shit. That much is a fact. I'm 27. I remember being glad that I was young enough and I wouldn't have to worry if I got it. Shit. COVID took out a 19-year-old that played basketball. I'm saying I don't play basketball and I don't go to the doctor. I don't know what I could have on the inside. People tell me all the time, Neko, you look good, bitch. Everything that kills people runs in my family. Everything. Cancer, breast cancer, prostate cancer, all that shit. And my brother is healthy as fuck, and I'm the entertainer. I'm nervous, dog. Y'all have no idea how nervous I am. But having said that, I couldn't stay depressed. I had to find something to do. Just sitting at home every day in this fucking Tempur-Pedic bed. Y'all don't know, depression, I thought that was something that white folks made up. I'm sorry, I never felt it before, you know. I thought that was something that only y'all did, like camping or some shit like that. That's how I felt. But when I met depression, that bitch was nothing like opportunities. Let me tell you that. Opportunities was sweet to me when she met depression. That motherfucker just walked in and started poking me in my head like, yeah, motherfucker, yeah, and there ain't nothing you can do about this, is it? And I'm like, yeah, I guess there's nothing I could do. So I may as well try something. So here's my solution. I started smoking weed, and good decision on my part, dog. It's the only thing that made me feel better. But I'll tell you this, everybody that says weed is not a drug, you are a liar. Anything that costs that much for an eighth is a fucking drug, okay? And depending on how you're taking your weed, you're a different type of drug addict. If you rolling your own blunts, guess what? I'm not even talking to you. You go forward, you live your life. If you're smoking out of a bong, you live your life. Vaporizer, live your life. If you're smoking weed out of one of those pipes, you are a crackhead. I want you to know you are a fucking crackhead. And it's time to admit you are a crackhead. You are a green crackhead. That is what you are. And it's fine. Admit there's nothing wrong with that, crackhead, but you're a crackhead. I remember when one of my homies came up to me with one of those pipes when I was just starting to smoke. He was like, yeah, man, you can smoke out of this. I said, what's that? It's a pipe. Nah. See, where I came up, people that had those usually had cocaine and baking soda. I'm good, dog. No, thank you. The whole aesthetic dish. No, I can't do it. I'm already dark. I'm skinny. My teeth a littler than my lips are. I'm not playing like that. No, I don't need any more help looking any more cracked out. I'm good. So that's weed, right? Friend of mine came up. He had a candy. Said, hey, man, have one of these. I don't like dudes passing me odd ass candies. I was like, what is this, you odd pedophile? He was like, oh man, it's just a edible. I said, yeah, I know it's edible. It's candy, motherfucker. I mean, what is it? He's like, no, stupid, there's weed in there. Oh, okay, word. How much weed? So about 15 milligrams. Like, 15 milligrams. I got 400 milligram ibuprofen. This ain't gonna do nothing to me. He's like, all right. So I opened that shit. I ate it quick and I left. Left where I was. I get on the train on normal. Hour went by. I'm coming off the train at my stop. Older black man in front of me. Elderly white lady behind me pulling up a heavy shopping cart. I would have helped, but Black Lives Matter. So I'm watching her do her thing. I'm watching the old guy in front of me go up the stairs. I'm trying to step on his feet. Then all of a sudden, the high hit me all at once. It's like somebody, you ever heard somebody tap glass, make that sound? Bing! That's what it felt like. It felt like somebody came and hit my cerebellum and bing! That shit radiated from the top of my head all the way down. And I couldn't take it. That shit was too strong. In the middle of that staircase, I turned around. I made full eye contact with that old white lady. I was, 15 milligrams is a hell of a lot stronger than I thought it was. This old lady couldn't hear me that well. She didn't know what I really said. All she knows is that she old and she taking a heavy shopping cart upstairs. So all she heard was, you're a lot stronger than I thought you were. So she looked up and said, oh, thank you, young man. I work out every day. It's like, oh, lady, that's not what I'm talking about even a little bit. So finally, I get upstairs. And I'm so high that I'm like, yo, Neko, you in the sky right now. You're way too tall. You need to get back down to your human height. I was like, all right, you're right. I need to get out the sky. I'm a grown man. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I bent all the way down to about half my height. And I walked home that way, ladies and gentlemen. I walked all the way home. I was like 5'5" walking home. I'm 6'3". I'm crouched down in the middle of Harlem. And nobody stopped me. Nobody said anything. Someone's like, yo, Neko, you good? Ducking planes, bruh. I'm ducking planes, but I'm good. I get in the house, and I had never experienced my house like this before. I'm excited to see everything. I'm like, holy shit, when did we have that picture of the Last Supper? How long has that been here? Since your grandma died. Oh, you're right. I've just been emotionally numb since then. Shit, okay. And when you get high and you start noticing things around the house, that could be quite scary because it leads you to ask questions that you wouldn't have asked otherwise. I'm sitting in my house. I noticed the picture of the Last Supper. I started looking at Jesus and saying, the fuck is this guy? Because that can't be Jesus. I read the book, Hair of Wool, Skin of Bronze. I was like, let me make sure bronze is the color I think it is. I typed that shit in. I was like, yep. Bronze on the color chart damn near look like me. So who's this bearded Mona Lisa you have painted on this picture right here? And why are the apostles so fucking interested in whatever it is Jesus is saying? I wish I could show y'all a picture of the one I have in my house. Jesus standing there holding the cookie, mouth half open. And the apostles are all looking at this guy as if he just showed them the greatest magic trick that ever be tricked before. All these motherfuckers saying, they all look like they're gasping. One dude is on his hands and knees with prayer hands up. And the reason it makes no sense is because you already know Jesus. You already know he's the Son of God. What the fuck could he have possibly said that changed your life like that? After you tell me you the Son of God and I already saw you walk on water, there's nothing you can say that's gonna make me go, oh, I'm not bowing to you, dog. I'm not doing it. So I'm wondering to myself, the fuck was Jesus saying as he was holding that cookie? Could he have possibly told these motherfuckers the Black Lives Matter? Maybe it was that. Oh, no, fuck, I told you I was too high. So Now let's move into some of this darker shit, huh? Man, when everything happened with George Floyd, everything that happened with Breonna Taylor, everything that happened with the cops, man, it was hard for me. It was hard for me because protests broke out everywhere. I'm right here in New York City. When those protests hit, dog, I wanted to be out there with everybody. I wanted to be out there, and I wanted to be out there bad. But I didn't go. I didn't go. And the reason I didn't go to protests is because I went before. I remember when I Can't Breathe started. I remember when they did Eric Garner the way they did it. And I remember going to a couple of those protests. And I remember feeling so many different ways because it was like, man, we don't get paid to protest, dog. And these motherfuckers get paid to watch us protest. And I didn't want to feel like I was helping police officers. I would protest screaming out, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. Meanwhile, them motherfuckers will look at us like, shit, my wallet can't breathe either. All this time and a half, it's going to be a good Christmas this year. And that's the energy that I maintained. And then when it happened this time, I wanted to go out, but the message was peaceful protest. And I ain't there right now. You know what I'm saying? People, I was already sad. I can't watch that type of shit anyway. I said, you know what? I'm going to stay at the house. And man, to see it go down in New York City, different places felt different ways. I live in Manhattan. I live in Harlem. And the slogan here was, fuck the police. Slogan in the Bronx was a little different. Slogan in the Bronx was, fuck up the police. I don't know if y'all saw how they acted in the Bronx, but they went ape shit. You would have thought they were bringing hip hop back, dog, the way they went crazy. This one cop went across the street and a Volvo came out of nowhere and hit this officer, knocking him up into the air, fell to the ground. He ended up being okay, but when I saw that video, you have to understand that my heart and mind felt two different ways. Because this is a video of a cop getting hit by a car. And I don't know why he got hit by a car. I don't know if he got hit by a car because he was crossing and didn't see the car, if the car hit him on purpose. All I know is that he got hit by a car. But this is after me seeing the George Floyd video. And that's like the 100th video I've seen like that. And this was right after they said that, oh, well, you know, George Floyd, he had COVID-19. That's what killed him. Fuck us having our body weight on his throat for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. It was the COVID-19 pre-existing condition. So when I watched that video, that cop get hit by that car and fly up into the air, my heart and mind was just in two different spaces because my heart was like, damn, man, I hope that officer's okay. That man was just crossing the street. He ain't deserved that shit. But my mind that remembered all those protests I went to, my mind that remembered all the fucking black people that die in police custody and they say pre-existing conditions, there's part of me that saw that video and was like, in fact, it looks like a pre-existing condition to me because that car was already on the street before it got here. So officers shouldn't have been resisting that Volvo, man. Shouldn't have been resisting that Volvo. Sour grapes. And I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy. We talking right now about the police all the time, and people act like what we're going through is new. They put it on Trump. Trump is responsible for a lot of shit. He's not responsible for police being the way that they are towards black people, and I can prove it. Tamir Rice was killed when Obama was in office by cops within 2 seconds. That quick. They literally killed Tamir Rice 4 times in the last 8 seconds. It took them 2 seconds to kill a kid when they rolled up on him. Okay? And I remember here where I was at that time, I was scared. I thought I was going to be one of the people that the cops got. Because if you remember this correctly, they had a streak where they were killing young black men who had regular first names and colors for last names. Let's go down the list. Michael Brown, Freddie Gray. So Neko White was scared to death. You couldn't tell me I wasn't next. And I didn't want to be a part of no weird hashtags like hashtag brown, gray, and white. I didn't want that. I was nervous. Whenever I saw cops, I just fucking assumed fucking position. Whenever they walked up on me, I straight up, I remember what cops said, sir, you be safe tonight. I've never felt more in danger in my life. As soon as he said that shit, I just stopped moving. And I voiced out my father. I said, hey, yo, come pick me up right now. Like, where are you? I'm downstairs. Just come up. Fuck that. A cop told me to be safe, and I don't know what that means. I'm not trying to end up a hashtag. You don't realize the fact that a lot of young black kids, black teenagers, are taught their Miranda rights at very young ages. A lot of y'all probably don't even know what I'm talking about. You hear Miranda rights and think, shit, I knew a girl named Miranda Wright in high school, but how does he know? No. Miranda rights. That's shit cops tell you before they put you in a cop car. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in court of law. You have the right to an attorney. You can usually hear that if they're not shooting at you. So I remember the first time an officer ever approached me. I was 5 years old. This cop asked me my name, and I turned into a prisoner of war. It's like, what's your name, little buddy? I have the right to remain silent. But you're not in trouble. Anything I say can and will be used against me in a court of law. I have the right to an attorney. If I cannot afford one will be provided for me. I'm not trying to end up a hashtag. I'm tired of dealing with this shit, dog. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of all these silly ass things they say to us. Oh, well, you know, we say Black Lives Matter. You say all lives matter. Well, if all lives matter, it should look like this. Hey, y'all march for Black Lives Matter? Which way y'all going? That way, can we walk with you? That's how it should go, but that's not what you do. And that's why I never liked the All Lives Matter folks, because you never show up. You never show up. The two kids that just got killed by, what's the amoeba's name? Kyle Rittenhouse? Yeah, they weren't black. They weren't black at all. In fact, I think those were white kids. I didn't see one All Lives Matter protest for those kids. Shut the fuck up. Stay out of our way. Do that. Do us that solid. Stay out of our way. And what I really don't understand is the police officers that get mad at the Black Lives Matter demonstrations. It makes no sense to me. Because they'll say things like, well, you know, it's only the bad apples that do stuff. Hey, man, gotta stop calling them that. I've had a bad apple before. I had diarrhea for a day and a half. That shit didn't shoot me in my back 7 times. It didn't kill my kid within 2 seconds. It didn't choke my son to death. Stop playing with us. These are fucking murderers. And whenever we talk about this, we can't ever really be as honest with y'all as we want to be. We can't never do that. Don't you think it's kind of odd that everybody that this has happened to says the same shit? Every parent that just buried their son, every parent that just buried their daughter, every fucking family member that feels police brutality come out and tell y'all the same thing. Be peaceful. Be peaceful. Be peaceful. Am I the only person that at one point said, man, I'm tired of that peace shit? But these people have to take into account the wrath that you could incur being out there and being angry. So we try not to be violent. And black people don't get any credit for how nonviolent we are and just how not shitty we are when these things happen. We march, we boycott, we protest. Few targets might get broken down and broken into. Fine. But no, what we don't do? The shit that y'all do to us. And kill a black man. They so comfortable doing that shit that they'll let murderers go home, sit in their house, and the system will force good cops to stand guard over those houses. And the system will force good cops to arrest people that want the good cops to arrest the murderers. Meanwhile, my friends had conspiracy charges. That's the thought of wanting to commit murder. They didn't wait it out at home. They had them motherfuckers in jail like that. And they thought about murdering somebody. And the law was like, yeah, fuck that. That's a little too much for me. Meanwhile, every black person they pull up on, it sounds like a Little Richard song after they're done with them. But meanwhile, we're supposed to go, oh, you know, I guess that's just protocol. No, fuck that. You're too comfortable taking black lives. If it's black and alive, leave it that way. But all that deep shit and emotion aside, what do? How do we fix this problem? My answer is, I don't know. My answer, I can't tell you. But I don't know. Here's my solution. It might not work, but it's a fucking solution. I think that the fire department and police department should switch responsibilities. They should have to. Switch responsibilities. Fire department, no more fires. You handle crime. Police department, no more crime. You handle fires. I think that'd be a lot safer for everybody. Matter of fact, let's take it a step further. I think they should switch occupations and they should have to keep the same equipment. Firefighters show up to crime with your hoses and fire equipment. And since police like guns so much, y'all show up to that 4-alarm with your Glock. Tell that smoke it has the right to remain silent and see if it give a fuck. Try that. Do it for me. I just think that the fire department has a much better siren for crime, just across the board. The cop siren is what? Woo! Fuck out of here. That was my lullaby as a kid, dog. I sleep right through that. Woo! Woo! And then you wake up and they arrested 12 people. No, I ain't hear that shit. But the fire department siren, that's different. If you were a criminal and heard this, whoo! I think you reconsider your ways, my friend. I think you'd reconsider it quick. Matter of fact, if y'all want law enforcement and neighborhood relationships to go through the roof, just give it to the fire department and let them come in front of your building and play that siren for 3 hours. You'll give up all the criminals in your area. All right, he's selling the drugs, he got the weed, and he's selling bootleg DVDs in 2020. Round them up, officer. Go ahead, round them up, officer, firefighter, officer, whichever you want to be called. And also, I know people that live that life. And guess what? They aren't afraid of the cops anymore. What can the cops do when they show up? They can shoot you, take you to jail. At worst, they can kill you. All the people I know live that life, they've been shot before, they ain't afraid of jail, and they ready to die. They don't give a fuck about none of that. They hate getting wet against their will. The only thing they hate more than that is being snitched on and rain. That's all. They hate being wet against their will. So if you want to get relations up on Easter, send the fire department, have them find all the people with warrants, have them post that holes right between the jeans and the sneaker. You'll get all the information you ever needed. Tell us who committed the robberies. Okay, I'll tell you everything. Just please do not fuck up my Yeezys. I just got these. Please don't fuck up my Yeezys. That's my simple suggestion on how you could fix it. But that shit probably won't work because I remember the civil rights movement. And so if we did that, we might have to have an all-black fire department, but, that probably won't happen either. So we just have to deal with this shit, dog. We have to deal with it. And I'm getting to the point where I watch this type of stuff, and how do I put this? Fuck it, I'll just tell you honestly. I'm tired of seeing black funerals on television. Like, do white people even die anymore? I've never seen a white funeral on television. Never, not once. And a lot of y'all have died. I've never seen one. However, I've seen so many funerals of black people from top stars to not top stars for whatever reason. Just more and more of that. And then if you watch the news, it's just more and more just suffering and suffering and suffering. Get tired of that shit, dog. Hurts the, what's the word I'm looking for? It hurts the psyche a little bit, And if it does that to me, and I'm a man, I'm almost 30, I can't imagine what it does to the kids. In fact, I remember when I was a kid, there were certain things I wasn't comfortable with. I was that kid in class you would have hated. I remember when they taught us about slavery, it pissed me off. Because in school, especially here, this is how they taught us our history. You ready? You were slaves, 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 you were slaves. We killed all of your leaders. Obama. That's how they taught us our history. Do you know how fucked up that is? And I had black teachers teaching me this shit. I remember I was 8 and we first learned about slavery. And I asked my teacher, hey, why would you tell me this? 10 minutes ago, I thought I could save my granddad from the dead if I collected all 7 Dragon Balls. Now you're telling me that these people used to own us because our skin is different? That makes no sense. Oh, I hate that shit. They made up all these ridiculous accusations for us, and then we never get to make any back. That's what pisses me off. I just want it to be fair. I want it to be fair. When I learned the history that some of the presidents owned slaves, and then I realized, wait. They own slaves and they're on money. They own slaves and they're statues. They own slaves and they're in all of these prominent, important places that black people have to see over and over and over again. There was a statue of a racist by my school. I forget his name, but one of them. So I don't even want, how do I put this? I don't even want those statues to come down. I don't even want them to come down. I don't want you to take the people off the money. I don't want that to happen. I just want it to be fair across the board. That's all I'm saying. You got people on money that raped and murdered black people. I want some black people on money that raped them. You get what I mean? Like, I just want it to be fair, dog. I just want it to be fair. Like, you want to put somebody on the $20 bill? Cosby, nigga, that's who you putting on the 20. Cosby. You fucking Cosby. Yeah, you fucking right, that Cosby. And if you don't want to put Bill Cosby, put Dr. Huxtable on. Either one. But no, you don't get Harriet on the 20. Always want to run and put, they ran to put Harriet on the 20. And we jumped behind that shit like, yeah. Without doing the thinking that Harriet probably wouldn't like that shit. Everybody in the cash register either owns slaves, is Lincoln, or rapist. So why would she want to be in there with those people? You ever gave that any thought? Do you know that they sold her brother for what's the modern day equivalent of $20 fucking dollars? But you want to put Harriet on the 20. I'm good. I don't want that. I never wanted it. We use paper money in this country for trade. At a point in her life, Harriet Tubman was a slave. And I don't trust you motherfuckers with trading slaves. I refuse. Y'all already playing weird games as it is. I'm good. No, thank you. And I feel like if you had her in the cash register, she would just annoy all the other money around her. Every time you close up the register, she coming up with escape routes and shit like, at dawn, I was going to get us out of here. You walking around your pocket humming spirituals for no reason. Mm-hmm. Every time you go to pay for something, your friend's like, no, we good. We are good. Shit, every time you open your wallet, it sounds like February. I'm okay. And if I'm being really honest with you, the reason that I wouldn't want a Harriet Tubman 20 is because if we had a Harriet Tubman 20, the Andrew Jackson 20 would still be in circulation. And his pastimes were owning slaves and raping people. I don't want the Andrew Jackson 20 on top of the Harriet Tubman 20. I don't want that shit. This dude's in the cash register like, just like old times. Ain't it, Harriet? Just like old times. Now send me one of them songs. I don't want it. You want to put Harriet on the 20? This is what you're going to do first. First, you're going to put Frederick Douglass nightlights in every cash register across this country. I want Frederick Douglass to stern face the shit out of Andrew Jackson every time he in the cash register. And I want Harriet to have her sword. That's what I want. And I want Cosby to get either a bill or a statue. A bill. I want Cosby to get either his own bill or a statue. I want Nat Turner to get either his own bill or a statue. And damn, I'm already so far back as Nat Turner, dog. Do we have any more? You see how far back I had to reach? I couldn't even pull somebody from this decade. I was going to say OJ, but notice I'm in the 90s already. Shit, if I had to do this for the other side, Epstein, Weinstein. Cold world, dog. Yo, you want to know what was really annoying about this whole thing? Seeing some of the people that didn't support black people in the Black Lives Matter movement. When I saw that some Dominicans didn't want to fuck with us in the movement, yo, really? Y'all? Still? The fuck out of here, man. I grew up in Spanish Harlem. I grew up around Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, and Dominicans. And Dominicans, I love you. But we need to talk. I'm tired of y'all not wanting to admit how black you are. I'm over that shit. And I'm not talking to all of you, only the ones that I'm talking to. There's a group of light-skinned Dominicans that if you call them black, they act like you punched them. You're a black. Oh, Poppy, no. The fuck are you flinching for? You're a black. Oh, Poppy, stop. Poppy, please, Poppy. I know black. However, They say nigga like they own slaves right now. And as soon as you tell them, hey, you know y'all black too. Wah. Bobby, I know black, Bobby. I Spanish. That's a language, asshole, and you can't be a language. And I don't know if you've ever met Dominican grandparents, but they're the blackest people on the planet. The blackest. If you've never seen any, please let me paint the picture for you. I'm describing to you. Just follow me. Close your eyes. I'm painting a picture. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. That's what they look like. You understand? When you get that dark, you don't get to avoid Black Lives Matter. You're a black life that matters. Get the fuck out of our way or join us, man. Tired of that dumb shit. What a time to be alive. What's next? I don't know what's next, so I'll tell you what's been. How's that? I remember when I first got to Harlem. Because, I say I'm from Harlem all the time. Real shit of it is I'm born and raised in New York in general. We lived in the Bronx before we went down to Harlem. We went to Harlem because my mother did some of the most gangster shit I ever seen anybody do. My mom decided that she was going to take care of her mom. See, my grandmother had 2 kids, a son and a daughter, my uncle and my mom. And usually when you have 2 children, you know how it goes. One going to take care of you when you get older. So my grandma had a stroke. And the original plan was she was gonna come up to the Bronx to live with us, but circumstances. So we moved down to Harlem. And when I say we took care of my grandma, I don't mean like some people take care of their grandparents. I don't mean like you show up on your birthday and you visit them in a nursing home. No. I mean every day. From school, home, making sure grandma was good, right? So my grandmother, sweetest woman I ever met. Her and my mom, 2 sweetest women I've ever met. And my mom has a talent for taking care of folks. She really, really does. And she passed a lot of that on to me in regards to grandma. So grandma had a stroke and her whole left side was like done, right? But she had an opportunity to rehab it, to go to rehabilitation. And when she went to rehab, she was completely fine with not doing rehab. Like, she was completely fine with it. That's how much love my grandma knew that we had for her, that she knew that if she didn't want to walk again, that was fucking fine, because we're going to make sure she was cool, right? So she gets in there. She's in rehab. They got the people trying to work her out. My grandmother was, at the time, 77-year-old woman from Orangeburg, South Carolina. She was born in 1925. They don't much give a fuck about ellipticals and all that shit, dog. That's something that's new age, okay? They ate their collard greens, they got as old as they got, and then they lived the rest of their life on love. So my grandmother decided. They tried to make her get up and work all that shit out. She got up one time, and they said, Miss Jameson, get up again. And I saw my grandma make the decision of, man, fuck walking. I've walked for 76 years. Who would want to do that for 100? I'm good. Thank you, but no thank you. Bring my wheelchair, I'll get used to it, and my kid and grandkid gonna take care of me. And that's what happened. Taking care of grandma. And when I say take care again, I don't mean nothing simple. Grandma couldn't really move on her own. So, had to learn to wipe her ass. Yeah. Everything. Had to learn how to clean a woman at 12. So as far as pussy is concerned, I was cleaning it about 4 years before I was getting any. Can you imagine that? And let me tell you something. As far as pussy maintenance is concerned, I deserve a goddamn MVP award. I'm telling you right now, fam. Because if my grandmother was still on the market back at that time, she would have got eaten out every day. I assure you, flat out. Because she always smelled like apricots. And I'm not trying to be gross. I'm just telling you what the formula was back then. So, in taking care of grandma, I had to learn how to be patient. Now, I've never really been patient. Shit, you could tell that I couldn't wait for the end of this pandemic to get this shit to y'all. But I've always had a problem with patience. Grandma killed that in me because I loved her. Love her. No impatience at all. 3 o'clock in the morning, I'd hear this. Oh, because see, what some of you might not know is that when you reach a certain age, you could just make sounds and people will respond if they love you. So my grandma's sound was, oh, oh. And if you didn't respond quick enough, she'd add in your name. Oi, Neko. Oi. Can you imagine how scary that was for 20-year-old drunk me at 3 o'clock in the morning, walking in my house, oi, Neko. I'm like, yo, when do we get slave ghosts? What the fuck is happening in this house? I rebuke thee, devil. Shit. So sometimes she would just do that shit to get attention. I'd be standing in her room and she'd not know, and I can see her go, oi. I wait 5 seconds. She go, oh. So grandma passed away in 2014. That shit was devastating. I'm still not over it. Biggest emotional punch I've ever taken, fam. Biggest emotional punch. When grandma passed, I was hurt because I tried to save her. You know what I mean? I was the person doing the chest compressions for an ambulance and all that got there. And I don't know what it is, but when we call the ambulance where I'm from, the cops show up with the ambulance. I don't know if that happens everywhere. I'm sure that it does. I hope that it does. But they need to stop doing that shit, okay? Because it made me feel weird. I'm like, what the fuck are you here for, officer? You think I'm going to steal a defibrillator? Like, just save my grandma or y'all please get out of my way. So they sent 2 officers and they're speaking to me. And they weren't, nothing wrong with the officers. They weren't shooting at me or anything. It's just that, you know, I'm not in the right space right now. I'm in the space of save my grandma or get the fuck out my face. That's it. They were asking questions that I wasn't emotionally ready to answer. Dude was like, hey, sir, just real quick. What year was your grandma born in? I was like, okay, man, she was born in 1925. This is in 2014. So, hey, man, she was born in 1925. And then he said, okay, how old is she? You didn't hear me just say she was born in 1925? Made me mad, and I ain't gonna lie to y'all, just a little bit racist in the moment because a Chinese cop asking me that. I'm like, ain't this is kind of your shit, ain't it? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to be rude, but that's like if I show up to a tense situation with a basketball and you show it to me, I'm like, oh, what's that? Like, I thought this was your thing, fam. So she's 88, dog. Okay, sir, she's 88. Does she live here or is she just visiting? You're in the projects in Harlem. What 88-year-old you know just visits the projects, fam? Kind of life you think my grandma was living. You think she was out looking across her property, her old country estate, watching the sunset going. I feel the end of my days slowly coming along the horizon. You know what I need to do before I meet my maker that I've prayed to for every day of my life? I need to go somewhere where they got piss in the elevators. It's not the life my grandma was living. Of course she lives here. Shit, she's the reason I can live here. Yeah, she lives here. And then they're like, well, what's the phone number, sir? Nah, man, the phone number is 188. Save my grandma. Get the fuck out my face, officer. That's the phone number. But she ain't make it. And when she didn't make it, man, that shit hit me. And then it hit me twice because I got to watch my mom react to that shit. And it sucked. And then after grandma passed, I'm 21 at the time, my mom wasn't working. If you don't know anything about the projects, they do the rent mathematically. My brother was the next person on the lease. I don't know if I did anything. I ain't mention my brother, did I? Yeah, my brother's a Navy SEAL, which is somebody that makes a lot more money than a 88-year-old woman. So they took the rent and did a magic trick. They said times 4. And guess who was the only person in that bitch that was working at the time? Me. These jokes. So for a while, I had to do my thing, take care of the house, make sure mom was good as she went through the time of grieving and, you know, getting herself back to where she can go out and go to work. You know what I'm saying? She took care of her mom for 12 fucking years. After not having that, that does a lot to a person. So she took her time. And meantime, baby boy had to Tell the fuck out these jokes. So after a while, I noticed I needed new shit in the house, needed furniture, but the rent got quadrupled. I didn't have the cash. I only had enough money to pay the bills, make sure mom's good, fill the fridge, buy some clothes. I needed a bed drastically. So I ended up getting my grandmother's bed. Here's the problem. Grandmother's bed was a hospital bed, y'all. And you can understand why at the time, as a 21-year-old male was trying to get girls back to the house, having a hospital bed, that ain't the move you want to make, dog. It's not the move you want to make. No, and don't get me wrong, I did certain shit to make it not look like a hospital bed. I took those metal sides off that shit because I had to. There's certain parts of the struggle I'm just not willing to have. It's one thing to have a small bed when you bring a girl over. It's another thing to have those metal braces at the side. You're like, all right, girl, now look. Once you get in here, you can't get out. I'm not trying to be a Six Flags employee in my bedroom, okay? All right, girl, now once the rails are down, the rails are down. Once the rails are up, we going full force, you understand? And I couldn't even play it off like, yeah, I got that for role play, you know what I'm saying? I keep my real bed somewhere else in the house. Like, nah, this is the situation. It's a goddamn hospital bed. There's a DNR sign on this bitch. So... yeah, motherfucker, you want to know about the struggle? That's the type of shit I don't post on Instagram. Because people act like when you don't post shit like that, people don't think you struggle. You know what I mean? I know motherfuckers that think I just got it made. Nah, I got a couple of nice watches, but no, I ain't got it made. Trust me. So going through that, having that hospital bed, I was so embarrassed, dog. I was so embarrassed being that. And I wasn't even broke. I was not broke. But that working poor shit, I got tired of it. And I was like, I don't want no girl to have to see no shit like that. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna leave with that story. This nigga got a hospital bed, blah, blah, blah. I ain't want no girl who had that story for me. So for about 2, almost 3 years, till I fixed that, I would not bring girls back to my house. I refused. There was one girl that she refused my refusal. She told me, I was like, hey, you got your own place? She said, yeah, but you can't come over. Oh, well, what are we going to do? She said, we're going to go to your place. I said, I don't know. And she said, you want this pussy or not? Fine, come on. So we leave, get back to my place, get in my building. None of the crackheads were there. I was like, oh, shit, this might be a good night. Get in the elevator. There was no piss in it. Get to my floor. Get to my door. I opened that shit. I didn't even go with her. I didn't even go inside with her. I said, all right, my room is straight to the back, make a right. And she started walking, and she looked back like, hey, come on. I said, no, you go ahead. You go first and just check it out. Make sure it's to your liking. Because I had a girl tell me before that when they come over to our houses and we're walking right behind them when we go into our room, that adds a little extra pressure to the situation. And I knew what she was about to see. And I knew that she didn't know what she was about to see. And I didn't want to be standing right behind her as she saw that fucking hospital bed. Could you imagine? She walks in my room and goes, okay, wait, is that a goddamn hospital bed I'm looking at? Is that a DNR side of those hospital rails? Who am I about to fuck right now? And I'm standing there like, so you ready? You ready to get this going, huh? Oh, nah, don't even worry about that. And fuck that DNR side. I just keep this for role play. There's no way to play that off. But to my shock, baby girl went in the back, opened that door, looked back at me and said, come on. It's like, word. I got back in there. I gave her the tutorial. Okay, now look, don't touch these rails. Once they up, and you got to be down. Cool. We get to going at it in that bed, and if you've ever fucked in a hospital bed, there's an amount of creaking that you are not ready for. It sounded like I was killing a dog in that bitch, man. And old girl was cool until she started to moan, because she would moan and then she added my name, and that fucked up everything. Because at a certain point, all I could hear was, oh, Neko. I'm like, hey. None of that in this bed, okay? None of that in this bed. You bring back memories that I don't really want to have right now. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for listening to this. I want to thank y'all for going on this journey with me for this. This has been my COVID special. Neko White. Dark out. I want to thank you all, if you made it this far, for making it this far. I want you to know that you mean more to me than everything except my mom. I want you motherfuckers to know that I couldn't wait to the virus to be over to talk to y'all. I miss y'all. Something drastic. It's the weirdest shit I've ever went through. I ain't never felt nothing like this. I've never been so angry. I watched the news like somebody that's watching sports. All that cop shit was going on. When I found out that they was around that officer's house that killed George Floyd, y'all would have thought I was watching the Knicks beat somebody. I was like, yeah, run in that motherfucker, man. But then I started doing shows and shit again outside and all that stuff, and I realized, makes me feel better. This made me feel better. Y'all make me feel better. So I hope to see you motherfuckers when things are back to normal. Till then, stay great. My name is Neko White. You're the greatest thing that ever happened to me. By that I mean you, not me. Cut. So, when you hear this, remember, I'm a comedian. Don't take me too seriously, but even if you do, shit, who cares? Nothing makes sense anymore.